know the vibes. It's a Friday.
Yep.
We back. You're watching the Hoop Genius podcast presented by NBA 2K22. If you've got no plans for this weekend, hit the link in the description and get yourself a copy of NBA 2K22. That's what I'm going to be doing. But before I do that, BJ, basketball's finally back for a start.
Oh, yes. Yes.
So we gotta talk about this real quick before we get into today's section of what we're calling Hoopology, where we answer your questions. Class will be in session very soon. Before that, I have to have a little bit of a gloat. The Boston Celtics still back at it. Almost a 30-point win. Only team in NBA history to win 4 consecutive games by 23 or more points on the road. Okay. You know, do what they do. Jason Tatum.
Who's watching? Who's watching?
30-piece, light work. Defense, lockdown. Rob Williams blocking everyone. Marcus Smart putting the clamps on everyone. Marcus Smart hit 5 threes last night. Okay, that's just, you know, I'm just waiting for the playoffs. 5 from 6 from downtown for my boy Marcus. Amazing. Detroit Pistons beat the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now you're probably thinking, how did the Pistons beat the Cavs? Well, BJ, you called it on the show a while ago. You said I wouldn't be surprised if the Cavs go into a little slump after the All-Star break. It seems like they were enjoying the All-Star break. But speaking of enjoying the All-Star break, one man who did not do too much enjoyment. 8 straight 35-plus point games, 6 straight win for the Bulls. The game-winning bucket, DeMar DeRozan, getting it done in the shy. BJ, what do you think of that? Big time. You see that bucket down the stretch? You see those 2 buckets, the final minute pull-up jumper, turnaround jumper? What are you seeing from the man you call the Marvelous?
Well, give DeMar, give the Bulls credit. And, Zach LaVine, I'm a little concerned about, Bo. He had some a procedure work done prior to the draft, and it was
prior to All-Star weekend.
To All-Star weekend, it's a little concerning. I know he had 20 points tonight, but when you start getting, I think they call it a cocktail. Is that what they call it? The medical?
Yeah,
I don't know what they call it. Where it's an extensive procedure. I just hope he's okay. Long term.
Yeah,
and I know as an athlete, you want to do what you got to do to win. I know he's been, this is the one thing he's been, really looking forward to is winning. And they're certainly doing that now, but it's kind of gone under the radar. It's kind of one of those things he missed.
Well, they're thin.
A few games prior to it.
They're thin at the guard spot though. With no Lonzo and no Caruso, they're thin at the guard spot.
So I'm just a little concerned for him long-term, but nice win tonight. DeMar continues. I mean, he's continuing. What do you have? 37 tonight. That he's continuing to play. So, great job by him. Great job by the Bulls. Stacey King is happy. We got to get him on the show.
100%. 100%.
We got to get Stacey on the show.
The rookie Ayo Dosomu played absolutely amazing defense on the perimeter. So that's going to be a big boost for them moving forwards into the future. Got a little bit worried watching the Grizzlies Timberwolves game. Ja Morant, kind of hyperextended his leg a little bit. It looked like he kind of slipped out and he was grabbing his hamstring as he limped off the court. But in typical Ja Morant fashion, he did make his way back in, walked back into the court area. But I don't want to focus on the negative. The positive is D'Angelo Russell went absolutely crazy in that fourth quarter. 23 of his 37 points down the stretch. Absolute ice in his veins, as they like to say. Doing it big, especially with Cat sat out most of the fourth quarter because he was on 5 fouls and Anthony Edwards could not buy a bucket. So shouts to D'Angelo Russell. The Phoenix Suns beat the Thunder by 20. And this one was interesting because I hit BJ before the game. I said, if you guys listen to our conversation about what the Phoenix Suns would look like without Chris Paul, I said, they're playing Devin Booker at the point guard spot.
Yeah, good call by you, Mo. Good call.
Another guy, and I said his playmaking would go up. 12 assists. But the biggest thing for me last night watching Devin Booker, did you see him with the 6 steals on the defensive end?
Devin Booker is a big time player.
I have to commend him on his improvement on effort and energy on defense.
Yes. And he's about it. I mean, he's a pro. He's a pro's pro. Great job. I shouldn't be surprised by the move because you don't want to disrupt your team, right? And so you keep the same guys there. You just ask them to do different things. But again, the big one for me was DeAndre Ayton.
Disappointing.
Basically 30 minutes, 6 points, 8 rebounds. That's the one that's the one I'm looking for.
And JaVale gave him 9 points and 8 rebounds in just 18 minutes.
That's what I'm saying. Like I'm continuing because I love the bigs, and you're going to need contributions. Now I know it's the first game back. It's clear to me what guys were doing on their vacation mode. They really went on vacation.
No comment.
A lot of the guys.
No comment from my guys. So,
but in saying that, that was a 20-point win for the Suns. You got to have depth in this league, and they get it done in Phoenix Suns fashion. So give those guys credit on the road. Nice win. Let's move on to the next game.
Getting it done. Speaking of that, the Steph Curry led the Warriors to a huge win on the road in Portland. First of all, a 50-point game in the All-Star game. He dropped 14 assists, which is what stood out to me. And then, of course, Nikola Jokic, the reigning MVP, and the Denver Nuggets took care of the Sacramento Kings. But now that we've got through the recap, the moment you guys have all been waiting for, it's time for your questions to be answered. BJ Armstrong, are you ready for some hoopology?
Yes, Mo, I'm ready. My timeline has been blowing up since the announcement that we will be taking questions, and I'm ready to go.
Okay.
These are the best. They have great questions, and let's get after it.
Well, speaking of great questions, the first one comes in from the Boston Brit, my guy, Nathan, who says, what one player are you matching with Tatum and Brown, which could push Boston into that championship contender role? And then he puts hashtag cat. So I think I'm going to tell you this. No, not Karl-Anthony Towns. Reason being, the Time Lord is a far superior defender to Karl-Anthony Towns. They don't need help scoring. The one player I want to put with Tatum and Brown to win a championship is Marcus Smart. And guess what? They got him already. They keep playing defense like this, they can cause a few upset in the playoffs.
The one player that you're going to pair with Jason Tatum
and Jaylen Brown is Marcus Smart. You don't have to say anything now. We'll have this conversation again after the Eastern Conference Finals.
I'm trying to think of a player that's available. The easy answer would be, okay, let's put Giannis with them, or
it has to make sense.
I make a sense. I was trying to think of
I think Rob Williams is a perfect guy. Leads the league in offensive rebounds. The amount of missed shots he can tip in.
You know who I want to put him. You know who I want to put him with?
Go on.
Okay, because I think Rob Williams is a nice fit. What he does, because if you're going to have those two guys, you can't have a center who's going to need the ball. Okay, you ready for this one?
Go on.
Anthony Davis. Davis. And here's why, Mo, real quick. Here's why, and then you can do with it what you want. If there's one thing right now for Al Horford, is his ability to play above the rim and to play vertical basketball. But if you had a big that could play vertical basketball and play alongside or play with, because Anthony Davis really doesn't want to play the 5. Let the Time Lord do that. And then you let Anthony Davis just be Anthony Davis. When he shows up.
If he shows up.
When he shows up. You're talking about boom.
Okay.
Cool. When he does it, you can move on. But I think AD in a Boston uniform and Mo cheering for AD.
Nope.
I would love to see that. I think that would be a good fit. I think
would never
AD
see that.
would be the guy. All jokes aside.
Did you see the article that came out where it said Kyrie Irving was actually recruiting Anthony Davis to Boston, and then they fell out with each other, so it fell apart, and then Kyrie ended up going to Boston. KD.
Well, he's not there anymore.
But we're gonna have to keep it moving because we've got tons of questions and not much time to answer.
And Marcus Smart on the defensive end. Woo!
AD would have to be able to play and be healthy enough to play for any of these things to happen. So give me Al Horford all day, every day. Matthew McDonald wants to know, do you think Kemba should move on from the Knicks now after being shut down for the season? He stepped up after he was put back in the rotation. Can he trust the franchise moving forward? It's an interesting one because Knicks fans were celebrating getting Kemba Walker at the start of the season. And after the first couple games, they were celebrating as if they'd won a championship. Now they're back in the mud. They say Kemba won't play for the rest of the year. BJ, what do you make of that situation?
Well, I think it's painfully obvious to me that Kemba Walker is not healthy. And I remember looking back now, reflecting back now in the bubble. You remember he missed that time in the bubble he missed an extensive amount of time. Something is going on here, and whatever is going on, this is going to be here for the rest of his career. Okay. The Kemba Walker that we know and love, and I think we're talking about here, that Kemba Walker is probably no longer there on a nightly basis. Mm-mm. And that's what you saw with the Knicks. He doesn't play for a while. He gets 50 in his first start back in the lineup. But then when you watch him play back-to-backs, he may play 30 minutes and not score. Mm-hmm. So I think whatever's going on, whatever's going on health-wise, I just hope that Kemba can get back and play to whatever minutes his body is going to allow him to play and be effective and play, where he can play an 82-game schedule. Because right now you can see clearly there's something going on there. And, we all go through it as guards. And right now Kemba is going through it. He's played a lot of minutes on that body, and it's been fun. I've always said this, when you have a move like that where you stop, Mo, it's a great move. And now that move and the separation is no longer there. This is what happened. So, I just hope he can be healthy. He can find whatever happy median he needs to find to play with and continue to play and be a productive player at this stage of his career.
Andy Williams wants to know, what impact did Phil Jackson have on BJ Armstrong, the person? Now, we can spend a whole episode talking about, this whole Phil Jackson and his impact. So, BJ, I'm going to have to ask you real quick in just under a minute. Tell me one piece of advice or one life lesson you got from Phil Jackson that you can share with our listeners as they go into the weekend to boss up their lives to another level.
Well, that was my first coach in the NBA. And my very first coach, my introduction to the NBA was a Hall of Fame coach. Mm-hmm. So I was very, very lucky in that regard. What was my thing that I got from Phil is that when you boil down the essence of the game, he was a huge component to me having this respect for the game, but his respect for the fundamentals of the game. Every day, Mo, I can see him, and I still hear him, how we and all of us were just doing chest passes and just doing bounce passes. Mm-hmm. And he instilled in us, when we got down to the essence of the game, big moments, how we were going to have to rely on our fundamentals to carry us through tough times. So, if there's anything I remember to this day when I watch the game, is to be a master of the fundamentals of the game of basketball.
Absolutely. And that applies with a lot of things in life as well. You have to master the basics before you can do all the extra stuff. Zubair wants to know, well, he has a few questions, so we're just going to get one of them. He says, If Utah fails again in the postseason, do they break up their core? Danny may make moves. Do you see them moving on from Gobert or Donovan Mitchell? And if so, which one?
I don't see them moving on from Gobert or Donovan Mitchell. And the reason being is because I don't know if you can replace Rudy Gobert, and I don't know if you can replace Donovan Mitchell. When I say replace, Donovan Mitchell is in the, he's in the thick of his career. He's right in the,
and they're both under long-term contracts.
Yes. So what I do see happening is how to get more athletic with the pieces that are currently around them. Bogdanovich, what's the other kid's name that starts there?
Which one? Royce O'Neal.
I see them having to get more athletic there. I've been saying this for a couple years now, but clearly no one's listening to me. I think you have to move Donovan Mitchell to the lead guard position because of his size. He is an all-star at the 2, but he's only literally more. I don't think he's more than 6'3". But I think if you put him as a 6'3" lead guard, that puts a lot of pressure on the other team's point guards because of his size, athletic ability, and the way he plays. So I think you put the ball in his hands. I think you try to put another 6'5" or 6'6" guard next to him. And then suddenly now, when you look at the Jazz, they're a small team. Donovan Mitchell and Conley, except for Rudy. If you put Donovan Mitchell at the point guard, suddenly they become a big team. So I think it's time to figure out how to play through, especially on the offensive end, Donovan Mitchell as the lead guard and let him play downhill. But that's just my opinion.
Well, George O'Neill Cummings wants to know, with NBA 2K22 now sponsoring the podcast, if you and I had a game against each other on NBA 2K22, which teams would you pick to play against each other? And could we potentially see a live stream of you two having a match in the future? We can do a live stream once I've taught BJ how to play, so that might take a while to get underway. But BJ, if you could play with any team, you can play with any team from NBA history, play with any current team, which team would you play with? Because I'm gonna just pick the Boston Celtics. I don't care who you play with. I'm a matchup.
Yeah, I asked my son this. I was like, he showed me the game. And I got to talk to Ronnie 2K. I got to talk to Ronnie about this. So I asked my son, I was like, who you play with? He's like, Dad, you got to play with the Bulls. I said, why you got to play with the Bulls? He was like, Jordan. He was like, and Dad, from three, you're not bad. So I'm going to play with the Bulls. So you know what? That was the team that was introduced to me. It's a 3-point game, and I'm familiar with the players, Mo. So I'm going to play with the Bulls. I'm going to play with the Bulls. That's what my son said. He plays. I saw him playing online with some guys, and he actually plays with the Bulls.
Awesome. We'll get it cooking. Pretty soon. Okay. Chris Rose wants to know, what is the important thing for a Western Conference team to focus on in order to topple Golden State or Phoenix in a playoff series?
Wow, that's a loaded question. I think that when I look at the Warriors, you have to focus on really two things. One, you have to have size against them. If there's one thing that's a glaring weakness for this Warriors team, is their lack of size up front. So I think that is, first you got to have the right personnel to beat the Warriors. And then the second thing is, with the absence of Draymond, they really don't have anyone on their roster that can control the tempo of the game. And how they are currently doing it now is they are committed to a system of play that everyone is committed to. Kind of like what the Bulls did with playing in the triangle offense, ball movement, player movement. So I think if you had a point guard who could really dictate the tempo, a la Chris Paul, if you had bigs who could play vertical basketball, DeAndre Ayton, JaVale McGee, those type of guys, but every team doesn't have it. I think it really increases your chances to beat the Golden State Warriors. Now, the Phoenix Suns, without Chris Paul, it's obvious how you would beat them, right? You really, now you're taking away another coach on the floor, an extension of what they're trying to do. I just think you have to have great leadership at your lead guard position, because that is the glaring weakness. It's just the obvious for them, because they have depth, they have size, they have athletic ability, they have shooting. But if there's one thing now they're missing in the absence of Chris Paul is, if you have a Ja Morant just hanging around on your bench, it's time to put him in the lineup, Bo. Because if you have a guy like that.
I think if you want to topple the Golden State Warriors or the Phoenix Suns, I think this year your hope is to be the Memphis Grizzlies. I don't see any of the other teams doing it.
You know what, Mo? I think I agree with that. The Memphis Grizzlies now,
that only team I can see taking out one of them.
Because if you're going to play against Phoenix, without question, Ja Morant would be huge. And he would be huge in the Golden State series, because that's the one position. And in particular now that Klay Thompson is not the Klay Thompson that he was prior to the injury on the defensive end. Mm-hmm. So I think if you want to say what it would look like to beat him, just say the Memphis Grizzlies.
Look at what happened with them previously as well. with the Grizzlies taking them. We got another question. Mark wants to know, okay, here's 2 questions. Number 1, it always sucks when I finish your pod. So what are the chances of getting a daily hour-long show? And number 2, we need some HG merch. I'm talking caps. When can we expect these so we can visually spread the good vibes? Keep up the great work. First of all, Mark, I appreciate you. And I appreciate the love because you always show love on a daily basis. And I see it. And I'm going to hit you with the answer right now. If you guys want merch, if you guys want more shows, here's what you need to do. I need every single person who listens to this podcast every day to recruit one more listener for us, because then we double our audience. And in exchange, we'll give you the merch and longer shows. So if everyone who's hearing this right now knows one other person in their life who loves basketball, put them on. If every one person gets one more person, we double up the audience, the show grows, everyone's happy, the sponsors are happy, and then we can do these wonderful things and bring the merch and more shows and longer shows to you guys. So if you guys want to support the show, support us, because we do this for you free every day, make sure you spread the word. If everyone listening to this recruits one other person to listen to this on a daily basis, then we're flying. Then we're flying. But we got another question coming in. Pierce McGlinchey wants to know which current NBA team would be the perfect fit for a prime BJ Armstrong. BJ, say you're a free agent right now. Where are you trying to get a 10-day at?
Man, these are great. I mean, it's unbelievable. These are things I never think about.
I'm saying the Warriors. If they needed another guard to step in, because I know you'd be seeing that triangle.
No, look, Steph Curry's there. Like, there's no place to play.
If Steph got injured, they needed another guard, and you could get a 10-day. That's you see what I'm saying?
God, I don't really see myself playing in this era because I don't play like these guys in this era.
Okay.
If I could play anywhere, like just anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, I really.
I'll give you a second to think about it. We got another question in the meantime.
Well, I can tell you who I would want to play for. I can tell you who I would want to play for.
Okay.
I can tell you who I would want to play for. It's Doc Rivers.
Okay. Go and replace Seth Curry then.
I would want to play. I would want to play for Doc. And you know who else I kind of recognize as a coach?
Go on.
Is for the Clippers.
Ty Lue.
Yeah. Like Ty Lue's guard play is like really strong.
Yeah.
Like I'm watching Reggie and I'm watching all of the guards that play for him. Like it's really like I respect it. It's like, okay. Mm-hmm. He really plays through his guards. His guards have confidence. So I would say Ty Lue or Doc Rivers. I mean, that especially Doc. Like, if you are a guard, I would want to play for it because he
playing alongside Embiid make the game a hell of a lot easier as well.
Yeah, you know what, Philly.
Okay,
that's tough. Philly is tough, but you know what? If you won a championship in Philly, I mean, they love their athletes there. So I would say Doc. Wherever Doc is at, that's where I'm at.
Interesting. TFMGIG wants to know D Rose is a Hall of Famer, right? And top 75 instead of Dame, right? Well, I'm gonna answer this because BJ's his agent. I don't know if he can answer this. Hell yeah, D Rose is a Hall of Famer. He was the youngest MVP in the NBA. That ain't even a question. D Rose top 75. If you're letting Damian Lillard in, you best believe Derrick Rose should be there. What the hell Dame Lillard ever done in his career? He ain't never been an MVP. So we're gonna keep moving from that one. I don't know how the hell Dame Lillard got in there. I do not know how he got in there. That's ridiculous. But
talk your stuff.
Anyway,
talk your stuff, bro. Talk your stuff.
David Noonan wants to know: could Victor Oladipo be a secret weapon for the Miami Heat? In my opinion, I'm gonna say no. because the Heat's biggest weapon is going to be their defense, not Victor Oladipo. And they already have Tyler Herro, who can play that 6-man role. If Victor Oladipo is healthy and he can give them solid minutes, quick 5, 10, 15 minutes a night, fantastic. But I think that even if he didn't play a single minute throughout the playoffs, they would be just fine.
Well, Mo, I just want to add to this. I hope that Victor Oladipo, someone offered him a substantial amount of money. Was that the Pacers?
Yeah.
Okay. I just hope, Mo, that whatever is going on there, that he's able to get his health back and make a recovery from that moment. Because the last thing you want to see, especially for a kid like that, is to wake up, retire, and say coulda, woulda, shoulda, oughta.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope he's able to recover from that moment. And in order to do that, he's going to need his health. So I just hope that he get back healthy, get back to playing the game. He was an all-star, and get back doing the things, because, you know, he was really coming into his own. And then suddenly he sustained this injury, and he is yet to bounce back from that initial injury.
Before the injury, he was such a high motor two-way player. It absolutely is terrible to see him not being able to do that. GA34 wants to know, first of all, I always wonder if this is Giannis's burner account. GA, Giannis Antetokounmpo, 34, his jersey number, wants to know, where does Giannis rank all time if he retired today? And what is his potential with another 7-8 years to go? Top 10, top 5. Well, right now, we looked at that ESPN list the other day, didn't we? And they had him at 18.
Yeah.
I don't think that's far off. And with another 7 to 8 years to go, if he can keep playing at this form, or even if he improves, which I think he's more than capable of doing, we could be talking about Giannis up there with the likes of a LeBron James for some of the greatest players to have ever played this game.
You know, Mo, I think where he's at right now, I think it's safe to say, right? I think he's safe to say he's in the top 30.
Yeah.
Just top 30. I think it's safe to say that, right? Give or take.
I don't like talking about current players in all-time discussions.
Yes, and I agree with you. But, Mo, what I see with this young man of being one of the all-time greats, and here's why. In order to be discussed in that category, there has to be a very unique quality about you or your game that is very distinctive. For example, Magic Johnson was a 6'8" point guard. You just don't see that often. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, he had a shot that's still the most dominant shot we've ever seen. Michael Jordan, you're talking about a very unique athlete playing the game at that position on both sides of the ball. Now, I say this about Giannis because I can't recall someone who's 7 feet 7'1" playing this style of basketball. I haven't seen it before.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen a player play with this level of activity as an offensive player and a defensive player. Like, I've seen KG dominate with this body type on the defensive end.
KG was never this muscly as well, though. KG was a bit skinnier. But I've never seen a player at this size play downhill. He literally takes one dribble from half court and he can dunk it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is literally, now this isn't like saying, you know, he literally covers so much space at his size and his length. You're saying to yourself, I've never seen this before. And by the way, Mo, he's improving. He's an unfinished product right now. Mo, he's the unfinished product. Now, the thing that you see with an excellent or great player is they are more developed on the defensive side than they are on the offensive side. And he fits that mold.
Yes.
And Mo, at some point, his offense is going to catch up here. And I keep saying this. It's already scary what he's doing now with no jump shot.
Mm-hmm.
Once he gets a consistent jump shot, I don't care. If he just gets a consistent jump shot from the free throw line, it's over.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, Mo, it's really over.
And I don't even think it's if. I think it's a case of when. Because he puts in work like nobody's business. I remember in the offseason when a lot of guys on holiday, Giannis was in a high school gym in Greece shooting. I think it was like 2 hours straight. I know, BJ, we had a conversation about workouts, but this guy's dripping in sweat. Sprints, shoot.
And Mo, this is the thing that when you see unique players, you see them winning with the following. Jordan won the first 3 with one team. Then he wins the second 3 with another team. Clearly, you could rebuild around Giannis.
Yep.
And win.
Mm-hmm.
You can win with this team, Middleton, Drew Holiday, Brook Lopez, in that group. And then you say, you know what? We can make another run with another group and build around another group because he is that good. And he's going to be, he's going to be a better player, Mo, probably 2 or 3 years than he is today.
Easily.
So, yeah. So I think I think obviously I think a special talent.
Yeah. Speaking of building talented teams, Connor O'Neill wants to know if Dallas can move some of their high-earning role players and they can have some decent cap space in the summer of 2023. Could they attract a second All-Star / MVP caliber partner to play with Luka Doncic, such as Nikola Jokic? Hypothetically, would that fit work? It's interesting to me because there was the video going around All-Star weekend of Luka trying to, talk to DeMar DeRozan, and people were laughing, saying Luka's not got any recruiting skills to recruit guys to the team. Well, what you also saw in the video is he stood next to Nikola Jokic, who was around him for the entire weekend. Those two are pretty tight, that European connection. And I think I would love to see them together on the basketball court. The other 3 players would have to be amazing defenders in that lineup. But I would love to see Luka and Jokic on the same team together. The Mavs will have the cap space. Trying to get Jokic away from the Nuggets, that will be very, very difficult, though. Right. I don't personally see it happening. But, I might do it on 2K and see how it fits. BJ, what do you think of that fit?
Mo, I'm when I think of Jokic, when I think of Doncic, I have 2 players that can play the game at the highest level.
Mm-hmm.
I automatically go to building a team that could possibly win a championship because both of those guys, one has already been the MVP, and I think the other guy is right there, Luka. So I began to think how to surround them with defensive presence because that's the one obvious to me as I watch their game. I think Jokic has improved on the defensive end, and I think Luka has improved and getting better. So I want to immediately begin to add defensive presence around them because I appreciate their offensive game right now, and I appreciate them. Both of them, I feel, can play the game at the highest level and make a deep run in the playoffs, provided they have the right team and depth around them. So the one thing I would like to surround them with is whatever they need to help them on that end, because especially Luka, because Luka is a player on the perimeter. He's not a big guy like Jokic. I mean, Jokic is figuring out now how to play.
Jokic is a solid defender. In the right positions. He might not get the highlight blocks. He can alter shots though, and he can be in the right position. Sometimes he's a bit lazy with it, but I like him.
Yeah, but Luka, on the other hand, is going to need a rim protector behind him. He's going to need Rudy Gobert or somebody like that behind him, I think, or who can fill that void, because that's always going to be an area of concern for him. So I think a shot blocker of some sort or a rim protector would really benefit Luka. And look, the more defensive players you have around Jokic, I mean, the better he will become, because he's clearly, a competitor.
And a final question. Matt McDonald wants to know, what is the best basketball documentary and the best book you guys have come across? Well, I'm going to go ahead and answer this and say the best basketball documentary was produced by a couple of guys out of London in a documentary about a young rising star in the NBA, Mr. Zion Williamson. It's called The Next Dance. It's on YouTube. Go check it out. It's my podcast. I'm going to plug my documentary. Damn right. I don't want to hear nothing else. But I'm also very excited for the world to see this Lakers show. Not so much a documentary, but the Showtime drama that they've made on HBO. That's going to be interesting. We're going to talk about that, when it closer to the time it launches. BJ, best book you have read, though?
The best book. I'm gonna tell you the one I enjoyed the most. I read this is about John Wooden, the Pyramid of Success. I think it's called the Pyramid of Success. John Wooden. And John Wooden was always an interesting character because he's really had he's been the last dominant, coach team that really dominated the NCAA. And I was fascinated how they won so much in an era. Or now, if a team wins one championship, that's like, wow. I mean, they won, I can't remember how many they won, but they won with Kareem and Bill Walton and all those guys, and I know outside the United States, people don't follow the NCAA tournament as much outside of the United States. But if you haven't had an opportunity to, if you have an opportunity to read a book, I think reading about John Wooden, Coach Wooden,
10 times NCAA champion.
Yeah, it's fascinating because he had these principles, and he had such wonderful players that he coached. They not only performed there in college, but they went on to perform in the NBA. And, Mo, if it's one thing that I think translates here is leadership. His leadership. They call him the Wizard of Westwood, right? UCLA is in Westwood, Los Angeles, which is the west side of LA.
Yep.
And he was just a fascinating run, fascinating philosophies, fascinating principles. And more importantly, I mean, he coached arguably some of the greatest players of all time. And so
Kareem,
that was
Bill Walton, legendary.
Yeah, he had legendary teams, legendary players. And, he was fascinating. So leadership, he was fascinating. And I had a chance to meet him. As a kid, I that was one of the places that I dreamed of going to UCLA.
I hear it. For me, the best book, I'm going to tell you guys this, the best book is not out yet. That's all I'm going to say on that. Stay tuned. Stay ready. Okay. Stay tuned.
Do you ever not have something? You always got something.
You see, I'm always wearing long sleeves because I got plenty up my sleeves. You know what I'm saying? That's why I always be on my hoodies. Come on, man. Listen, those are the questions for today. We're going to get more in next week. We apologize if we didn't answer your question, and we appreciate all of you guys tuning in. I'm going to just repeat the answer to Mark's question. If you guys want merch, if you guys want more shows, longer shows, tell a friend to tune in and join the family over here, because that would double our audience. Once we double up, in the words of the great Nipsey Hussle, more greatness can be on the way to you. I hope you guys all have a blessed weekend. BJ, I hope you have a blessed weekend as well. We're going to be doing the games live on TV, so I'm going to catch up with you over there shortly.
Yes. You're going to catch up with me. You got the fresh cut.
Oh, you know the
fresh
vibes.
fade.
Come on.
It's Friday. It's Friday. Mo. You know what? And hey, we got a little work to do over the weekend. So
that's right.
I appreciate everyone. Thanks again for those questions. Hoopology. The hoopologists sent in the questions. And Mo, it was a pleasure. Unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, it's the end of the week. And I'm not going to know what to do now. The NBA is back, but what am I going to do? I'm not going to talk to you for a half hour. I'm trying to get an hour in.
Hey,
I need an hour and a half.
We need.
You know what, Mo? You know what I need, Mo?
To show up then.
Okay. You know what I need, Mo?
Go on.
I need a live show in the UK.
Coming soon.
A live show in the UK.
Okay. Audience in the crowd
with the people. Mo.
Facts.
With
drinks flowing.
Yes.
With the people.
Yeah, we're just talking hoops. I mean, just serious hoops.
Trust me.
You know what I mean? None of this fake stuff.
Trust me.
Serious hoops, and let's just get after it, Mo.
You heard the man.
Hey, Mo. Like my guy said over All-Star Weekend, where your shoes at? Where your shoes at, Mo? Mo, all you got to do to come to the podcast is just bring your shoes.
Facts. I mean,
how about that, Mo? I don't care if
I'm
you
ready.
bring Under Armour. I don't care if you bring Nikes.
I do.
I don't care if you bring Adidas.
Oh, I do.
I don't care if you bring Pumas.
Oh, I do.
Bring your shoes. And don't forget to pack your game. Oh.
PJ don't care what you wear.
We'll bring the wings. We'll bring everything else. You just bring your shoes and bring your game. And then, Mo, Let's get after it. How
BJ,
about that, Mo?
might not care what you wear. If you're rocking with me, it's Team Jumpman only. You guys know the damn vibe.
No.
But you guys can wear what you want.
What you wear.
You guys can wear what you want. But we'll see you there. But anyway, you guys keep showing love. Tell any of your friends who love basketball to start rocking with this podcast. We'll be back on Monday, every morning next week, doing what we do best.
And you can work out with Mo, because Mo's working out right now. So you know what?
Come and get involved.
You know what, Mo?
Come and get involved.
You might bring me. Mo, you know what? I haven't played since I retired. If we can make that happen, Mo, I might have to dust them off, Mo.
Okay.
And Mo, I got some fresh drip somewhere.
Okay.
I got some fresh drip somewhere, Mo.
Okay, we're going to see.
You know what, Mo? I'm going to start, you know how they say, digging in the crates? I'm going to go digging this weekend, Mo.
Okay.
So Monday, I'm going to bring my shoes. I got some special ones for you, Mo.
Okay.
Mo.
Okay.
I got some special ones.
I'm excited for this. I'm excited for this. We'll see you guys on Monday. Make sure you subscribe, leave a review, all of that good stuff. On Monday, be here. We're going to be back. And until next time, get buckets.